G'day guys, what's cracking? It's Ralph Mayhew here, and today I have Tamron's brand new, released today, 16-30mm f2.8 G2 lens. And first impressions of this lens are it's quite small, like it's physically quite small, and it's quite light. And so it's light because the exterior is all plastic, so don't drop it. That's right, if you just, tip of the day, right? If you're like turned up and you wanted just some brilliant advice, don't drop it. Yes, came to the right place. Like, subscribe, let's get on with it. But it also has limited glass. So they've obviously used the technology in the glass to create maximum quality for minimum weight because it's really light, and the face of the lens is quite limited, small. You would expect a lot more glass for a lens that can shoot 2.8 with a minimum focusing distance of 17 centimeters. So minimum focusing distance is measured from the sensor, which is just here, to 17 centimeters out, which puts us just here. Look how close that is to the lens. Here's an example of that shot. But if we push it to 30mm, it bumps the minimum focusing distance from this sensor out to 27 centimeters. So it's a little bit further away if you're shooting on 30mm for things to be in focus. They're in focus at this point, all the way here. They're not in focus when they get to here. Right. Let's talk about the external of the lens. It's a plastic external with a thicker focus ring and a thinner focusing range ring, which I don't mind. Now, one of the things that stands out is there's not a great deal of range. There is between 16 and 30, like a massive range. Here's what 30mm looks like. Here's what 24mm looks like. Here's what 20mm looks like. And here's what 16mm looks like. So there's a big range, but if we look at the lens, there's actually not a lot of scope between here and here. So I would like an extra third with those numbers spread out. You can throw in some extra numbers if you want. It doesn't make a great deal of difference, where you could just be a little bit more precise when you're zooming in. This lens will be wonderful for architectural and real estate photography or astro, but to do that, it would be great just to have a great range. If you've got a video, you're doing some video on this, and you're like, you just sometimes need it just to be a longer distance between 16 and 30, if you get my drift. If you don't, let's just move on. This lens would make up a perfect addition to what's called the holy trinity of lenses. You ever heard of that? So you have a super wide, and then you have your 24 to 70 at 2.8, and then you have your 70 to 200 at 2.8, and this being 16 to 30 makes up that super wide at 2.8 end down here. So you can use it for street photography, you can use it for creative product photography, you can use it for astro photography if you put it on 16 or anywhere to 20, and you can even put a filter on here, so you can put a natural light filter on or whatever else suits for some astro, and that is 67mm from here to here. So you want a 67mm thread on here or a step-up ring. Use a wider filter, and sometimes a wider filter works. If you buy a set of wider filters, then regardless of your lens, if the diameter is less than what your filter size is, you're just paying money on extra step-up rings rather than extra new filters. Anyway, another little tip for you. You're loving it? Like and subscribe. Let's move on. Has a lens hood that is not too shallow. So that's what it looks like. It's the profile of what it looks like. These are good in case you drop it. So you drop it, it lands here. You crack your lens hood, but your lens is fine. You drop it, it cracks here. You're stuffed. But obviously, if your camera's on it, your chances are you're going to drop it like this, and you're saved by your lens hood. Can also reverse. So if you're someone that just you like it every so often, but you like it handy, you can just pop it on and it reverses just like this. Has an external button, and this is for focusing. So you can actually focus, autofocus to where you want. You can hold the button, you can move and reposition, and it will not change the focusing of this lens until you later on release the button. Or you can put it in manual focus on your camera and then use this ring to focus to your heart's content. And it just goes round and round and round all day long. All day. Let's have a look at the bayonet finish. So the bayonet finish I like this. It's just got an internal matte black with the electronic diodes there that make the autofocus and aperture work really, really well. You've also got a white mark just here, and so that matches your camera with the dot here. So this is the Z5 II. And it clicks on, and this is what it looks like. So it feels good in your hand. It's actually not too heavy, so you can portabilize it. You can carry it around without the strain and stress of doing that. But it's nice on the camera because of its length. It actually balances out the weight of the camera really, really nicely. But it's not too huge. So I've had lenses before that are like out here, and they're super, super wide. In fact, this is Nikon's 14-24, and it is heavier it's 2.8, it's heavier than the entire setup. So this is what technology gets you, right? And also you can't put a filter on this, and look at the size of the glass. That's why. You know what I was saying before, like so that is like the size of my entire camera, except it weighs more. The only other external feature of the lens that's worth noting is it has a USB-C here. That is not for charging the lens. No. It's not. It's actually for the firmware update. So you can plug that straight into a Tamron toggle and it enables that to take place by itself. All right, we've had a look at the lens here. Let's have a look at its vignetting now. This is exposed at 2.8 at 30mm and there's no vignetting whatsoever. Vignetting is the dark shadows that happen in the corner of the frame. Now we're going to go to f-stop of 9 at 30mm, so this is the narrowest it shoots, and we wouldn't expect a lot of vignetting, but there's no vignetting there. And then we're going to go down to 16, an f-stop of 16, and I'm just looking at that. I'm going to increase the exposure a little bit, so we'll see. To me and my eye at 30mm, it doesn't feel like they're just clouds, so it doesn't feel like there's actually much vignetting at all. Now let's go over to 22mm, which is the mid-range between obviously 16 and 30, and this is shot at f2.8, and I don't see any vignetting at all. Just going to close down. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Look at that. There is a little bit. You see that? So there is a little bit of vignetting, although that might be cloud rather than vignette, because in this corner there is none. Now I'm gonna say there's no vignetting on that at this stage. Now we're gonna go to here, and again it's not even vignetting, doesn't feel like it's much vignetting. That's at f-stop of 9, and then if we push out to an f-stop of 16, it's really quite dark, but there's no vignette there. Now this is where we really get to see the vignetting at 16mm. So this is 16mm. I'm just going to take this down a little bit. And see, honestly, you might call it a tiny bit, like a tiny bit, like right here. Yeah, I'm gonna 16mm, the tiniest bit of darkness in the corners at 2.8, and then we go to 9, and 9 feels clean and good, and obviously 16 is going to be good, no stress there. So, all right, that's really helpful. Now what I'm going to do is go to warp, and so this was what these are the lines of my fence, right? So we're looking for whether these lines bend like this. So that's at 30mm. These are all 2.8. No warping there whatsoever. Now we go to 24mm. The reason I chose 24mm is because 24 is written on the lens. There might be the tiniest bit. You see that? Just maybe just the smallest margin, although honestly, let me just pull that up. Yeah, maybe the tiniest margin at 24. Let's see if it increases at 20. And at 20mm, I'm going to put a transform and tighten this up, and we're going to see if it changes. It feels like it's not warping, it's just straightening it up. I'm going to say no warp, just straightening it up. Now the big one, 16mm. This is where you expect to see it. And if we zoom in here, is this line bent, or does it just? Oh, it really feels like there's no warping at all. Look at this really light line. It's on the fence. No warping. I'm calling it right now. No warping. Very, very impressed. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, nice jacket, Ralph. And I'm like, yes. Bought it this week. Love it. Need it because it started raining outside and it's miserable and it's gone rubbish. So the lens arrived and I'm like, let's go out and do some astro. And then it was just miserable. So I can't take any decent photos. This is the only decent photo I've got to show you, right? Which I love because it's just really cool. It's shot on 16mm. But the challenge that I had was like, you can't get any of the colors out of the lens. Everything would just be monochrome. So this is a two-parter, and there will become a video shortly as soon as the weather clears up to show you what sort of photos you can get out of this. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate your patience, your viewership, and your loyalty to the channel. Hope this has been fun and entertaining and educational. Maybe we got to that as well. Thanks so much, Tamron, for partnering with me. I've got to send this lens back unless the good people at Tamron go, you did such a good review. you can keep it. And if they do that, I'm going to keep it. I'd be interested to know if you want to buy one and whether it fits in with your gear and setup. I honestly, like, if I didn't have any other wide lenses, I'm seriously contemplating that this is the one to go with, given its range, its quality, and its weight. Hope this review's been helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. That is... What is it? 67 millimeters.